if you're a Disney fan, holy cow, get ready for this. Director Josh Bailey is joining us on the show to tell us all about Stolen Kingdom. So let's get your questions ready. Let's go. Hey, Josh, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's going really well.
We just talked about your film before you came on. We want to show our audience the trailer that you posted on YouTube in a few moments, but how did this happen? I assume you're a Disney fan, right? But how'd you get involved in this, and tell us about your fandom for Disney?
Yeah, well, this one was like a no-brainer for us. It fell into our laps, really. I had moved to Orlando from Tampa, where I grew up when I was 18. I watched a lot of these people on YouTube growing up because I was a fan of Disney, but I also went to like punk rock shows, and I wanted to tattoo my whole body. And I found that people like Adam the Woo were kind of this intersection of that, and became very interested in it. And when I moved to Orlando, there was this new generation of that starting to come up with some of the folks you see in the film, Backdoor Disney, who we later found out is Patrick Spikes, Matt Sansois. And these guys were much younger, around my age. So we were like, we really need to kind of dig into this and see if there's something there. We've wanted to make films for a while. Let's see where this leads. Some kind of journalistic instinct. And I was not a journalist or a filmmaker at the time. But it paid off because Patrick just showed us everything about this black market world that I had no clue existed. And then I think the project turned into something else entirely. And that was the light bulb moment. Here's our first doc. 2 months later, Buzzy went missing. So then we really doubled down on this needs to be a film. And it took us a while. This was 2018. The events in the film happened, the crimes. And we started shooting in 2021. But because we had formed relationships with these people, and even like we drove around with Patrick, like near Disney and some of the places that he would take people, I think we were able to have this access to these participants. And it was just the whole thing. I keep saying it was a no-brainer. It truly was.
Well, we've been talking about your movie for the past 15 minutes. Let's share the trailer. We've got 1,600 people watching live on YouTube. Let's watch the trailer for the film, and then we'll talk about it on the back end here. This is the trailer from Bright Sun Films. I assume that's your company.
That is our co-production company on this project.
Co-production. Yeah. So let's take a look here. It's 2 minutes.
Now to a very strange crime at Walt Disney World.
Charged with burglary, grand theft, and trafficking in stolen property.
It's iconic. Only one on the planet. Where did it go?
The unwanted tourist.
Please remain seated.
Part of a growing subculture called urban explorers.
You start to get bored of just the normal experience. And then you start thinking, well, what else can I do?
I risk my freedom, I risk my life, but I want to show people things that they normally can't see.
When we started doing these adventures in theme park exploration, man, it just caught on fire, and it led to all of this.
A bombshell investigation.
Stealing from the happiest place on Earth. He's accused of taking costumes and memorabilia.
Why? Because of high demand on the black market.
Disney black market has kind of always been a thing, but Buzzy's a different story.
Buzzy.
Who the f is Buzzy, man?
Buzzy, the animatronic from Epcot's closed Wonders of Life attraction, was stolen.
You ever put this on eBay? I'll f you up.
The picture you see of Disney is this happy, colorful place.
Even though Disney is a place of fantasy, it is not immune to crime.
Disney will make planet.
If someone did just come and take it, then you just pulled the Ocean's 11 of Walt Disney World. Did you steal Buzzy?
Did he?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great trailer, by the way. It really perfectly represents the movie. It's like a tight 90 minutes. Is so tell you, how'd you get even started? It's partially, interviews, right? Mixed with, it feels found footage, but this is footage fans were making and posting online. And you could not do this today. Obviously, too many cameras, iPhones everywhere. So it's like, what was the process of collecting all the media and then forming a story with the interviews?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, we had to get Patrick. If we didn't get him for an interview, get him to say yes, I don't think we would have a film. So that was the very first step of the process. And then he said yes, of course, and we were shooting, a week later. But it all just happened as we interviewed these people. We were lucky in our film that most of our archival is from the people in the film, and even stuff that's not necessarily filmed by them. One of our archivists, Hal Bowers, is a participant in the film and interview. He works with a team of people that archive Disney footage. It's more like home video footage that's not owned by Disney. And they'll take people's Super 8 films and High 8 films and they'll digitize them and additional stuff like ephemera and things. And they really run this awesome archive. So they were able to provide us like licensable Disney footage that Disney doesn't own. So yeah, we were really lucky. Just as we went along and interviewed these people, we would ask them, is there anything that we can use? Are we able to use this and that we really want to? I really had access. Like you mentioned, a lot of it is on YouTube. So we were playing with it, creating these kinds of proof of concept videos to show people, like, here's this idea that we have. So we were really lucky that it was publicly available.
I assume you had hundreds of hours of footage, which is a whole challenge.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the narrative shifted. I think, like I mentioned, it was urban exploring. I didn't know about the black market, right? So we had thought these people are really interesting. These Adam the Woos, the Leonard Kinseys, Dave Ensigns, and the black market thing started to unfold. And I think the narrative twisted even more in our investigation process, and we maybe thought it would be a little more crime focused or black market focused, and then it wasn't, because we hit a lot of dead ends. So there's footage that's not in the film. There's leads that went nowhere. There's stories that people were maybe kind of unsure about telling on camera, but did anyways. So those were maybe cut out just out of respect. Like double checking, you said you didn't want to tell the story and then you did.
I mean, were the interviews tricky in the sense that, essentially they're incriminating themselves? I mean, at least Patrick already already got convicted for his crimes. But the others, they're in places they're not supposed to be and doing things they shouldn't be doing. Was there a dance in terms of trying to get information with and then resisting that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I keep saying that everyone in the film, I'm pretty sure, is a criminal on some level, except the journalists. Because you could even say that what Hoot and Chief were doing back on Horizons, it's pretty blatantly trespassing.
Yeah.
Luckily, I think it's pretty harmless, so they never got caught. But Patrick was probably the trickiest one because I think he had the most public crimes that happened. We did, if you notice in the film, because you guys have seen it, there's 2 interviews with him.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is the one that we use the clip from the trailer at the end when we ask him if he stole Buzzy. He was a little coy about it and a few other things, but ultimately he was really shy about speaking on some of the crimes that we knew about. Everyone knew about these in the fan community. They were even kind of broadcast on local news networks that we show in the film. So we just kind of had to let it roll. He was super hesitant. He was like, allegedly this maybe happened. And then we came back and he was like, I just wasn't sure. I was like, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to tell you that you're okay to speak about these things. But he looped back around and was like, hey, you know what? I think I can talk about these things now. I think it's okay. All right. Well, come back down to Orlando and let's shoot another interview.
Now, the movie just premiered at Slamdance. I'm sure the live audience, they must have had a great time. what has been the reaction? Like, and also, like, are you concerned about how Disney may respond? I know I'm sure as a doc filmmaker, you've dotted the I's, crossed your T's, you're in the clear. You know, you're a step removed from these people documenting what they did in the past. And you know, just are you concerned about Disney reaction and how have audiences reacted?
Audience reaction has been incredible. We were unsure about what they would be. It's a really interesting topic, and sometimes we had to balance that line in the edit of it being too niche. So things were cut, and, like stuff that felt too inside baseball. We really did want this to play to general audiences that maybe don't know about the Disney fandoms and things. And I think we had probably a good mix of that. There were some people that showed up with their Disney shirts on, which I love. And but just some totally unsuspecting viewers at Slamdance that had seen our posters and things and thought, oh, this sounds pretty cool. I've never been to Walt Disney World. Let's wander into this. And yeah, it was just the amount of laughter that we got was incredible. This was the first film project I've ever done. I haven't made any short films or features, obviously, before this. So to see my film in a theater with such a reaction, like such a loud reaction from people, was incredible. On the Disney side, yeah, I don't know. We're just, maybe it's silly, but we're not concerned. It's something that's out there already. If anything, it's like a minor annoyance to them that this story's being brought up again. But, in the film, we have all those news broadcasts about it from 2018 when the crimes happened. It was pretty sensational. We haven't heard anything. We've had some Disney employees and Imagineers watch the trailer and even watch the film, and they're very interested in it. They love it. If they've seen the film, they love it. I talked to one extensively after a Slamdance screening, and I don't know him, and I don't know if anyone knew him. He just saw it online and was like, "Oh, I have to go to this." And we talked for a while. They love that stuff. Most people on that lower level of Disney, not the execs, they're really passionate about Disney. Like, you'll find that all the employees there, especially at like Imagineering, they want to see this kind of stuff, and they know that Disney will never make it. So
we've got, like I said, 1,600 people watching live and a ton of questions from our audience. So let's get to those. Alan, if you would do that, and I got to do a quick break. I'll be
sure.
Right back.
Yeah, Geek Truth 64 for 5. First heard about Stolen Kingdom from Jake over at Bright Sun. Thanks for coming on, Josh, to discuss. I love docs, and I'm hoping for a Blu-ray release. Have you gone that far in the process of your film?
Not yet. We will make sure that this comes out physically. But yeah, that's awesome that you heard through Jake. We love Jake. He's one of our executive producers, and like I mentioned, Bright Sun Films is his co-production company that worked with my production company. They're awesome. He's been covering this stuff since he was a teenager. So this feels like full circle for Bright Sun Films.
All right. From Patrick Lemire, Josh, isn't the whole film incriminating, or has the statute of limitations lapsed on everything in the film?
Probably statute of limitations. Patrick is really insistent on that. I'm definitely not a person to give legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff in the film is 30 years ago, like with Hoot and Chief. And most people were already tried for what they do in the film. Yeah. So it's been done and dusted. Matt Sansois was charged. Patrick was charged. I think it's all over at this point.
Yeah, Patrick, I believe, was convicted for what he did.
Yeah, he was sentenced to initially 10 years probation, and then it got it down to 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So that releases him from, at least from the crimes he was convicted for. Tucker Time, this film looks fantastic. It is.
Thank you.
My Life Matters. Hey, Josh, any plans on making a Knott's version? Going into Knott's Berry Farm and...
Is there a story there? If there is one, I'll tell it.
Right.
If it's interesting enough. There's a lot of great YouTube videos that I could go. I definitely want to encourage people to go out there and search YouTube for abandoned things and those little theme park stories that could maybe be told in 20 minutes. But I love Knott's. It's one of my favorite parks.
Yeah, Tucker Time is my friend Jeff Tucker. He has a YouTube channel and he works at Knott's. A great friend of mine.
Okay.
Keep going out.
Okay. Brock Samsonite, is there an appeals process to unban if you've been banned from a theme park, or can you elaborate on what it is? Because I believe someone who got banned was unbanned, and I assume that's why they didn't participate in the documentary.
Yeah, that's Adam the Woo. Yeah, that is it is tricky. I spoke to him in person about it, and he wasn't like exact, but like, I absolutely do not want my name to appear, but was very clear that he didn't want to do an interview or speak about it personally. And there was no way to not involve him in the history of this, which you guys have seen, you know, that Matt Sonsval, one of the biggest explorers, he mentioned he's directly inspired by Adam. So he was unbanned after a year. There is no direct appeal process. Adam went through a lawyer that sent a letter to Disney. You can appeal it yourself, but I think some people like Leonard Kinsey has tried both avenues, I believe, and is still banned. So it's definitely a case-by-case basis. I'm sure it helps to have a lawyer that they're familiar with write a nice personal letter. Yeah.
8 Ellis 24, I stole Buzzy. So mystery solved.
Oh, there we go. There it is.
We'll go to super chats here.
You should have got a hold of them beforehand. John Lithgow, Buckaroo Bonsai. I believe that's from the previous story.
From Ducky 997.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Eric Stratton, member for 26 months. I've watched theme park videos since 2016. None is surprised. Some weirder things you have not even talked about. Are there some weird things that
absolutely
you haven't talked about?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like an endless amount of weird things that we don't even get to in the film. I think we had to like really pick and choose that, you know, it's only 74 minutes and we wanted to be really tight and specific to our history. You ask a cast member and I'm sure they'll tell you some crazy stories.
There's almost another documentary in what happened to the Jungle Cruise captains when they were all fired because they would go off script and tell, you know, off-color jokes. They weren't even that bad, frankly. But that was a whole controversy. One of my friends was one of the captains of the Jungle Cruise ride, got in a lot of trouble. There's almost a whole doc in that story. But yeah, our chat is going nuts with questions. Tom Siebert, very good trailer. And Tucker Time, my friend Jeff Tucker. I used to sneak into Universal Studios back in the late 80s. I was obsessed with Back to the Future. So
that's
there you
awesome.
go. More questions here, Alan, if you would.
Dr. Sylvester Matushika, Bright Sun Films, he said, isn't that the channel that does the Abandoned series on YouTube?
It is. Absolutely. Abandoned. He maybe made an Abandoned Discovery Island video at this point, probably almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been covering this for a long time.
Brock Samsonite, was there any footage you had put and weren't allowed to show because Disney forced you to pull it out? Can they do that?
No, not Disney specifically. We went through fair use lawyers that work on these kinds of films a lot with archival and stuff, and they were able to approve what we could and couldn't use. We didn't really use any Disney footage. Like I mentioned, how Bowers is a participant, and he, you know, they have their own database of archival not owned by Disney. So we steered clear of that stuff. As far as the crime stuff goes at Disney, yeah, I'm not sure that they could pull that. It's still on YouTube, most of it, if you go watch Matt Sonsval's videos. So.
Yeah, yeah, and this is a great follow-up question from Matthew Hammond. Did you have to license the video footage in the doc? What is the fair use challenge you had with the film?
Yeah, luckily we didn't really have many challenges. A lot of the footage is from, like, I guess the majority of the VHS stuff would be from Hoot and Chief, and then there's some like random archival that we use at a few points with Dave Ensign to add some color for the time period and a little bit of Epcot things, but everything was luckily approved.
Right. And Matthew Hammond also asked for two. Did people in the footage have to sign a release?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Luckily Even though this is our first film, I think we did a pretty good job with all of our releases and fair use and all that.
All right. ADLS24. How tight has security become at Disney over the years for both guests and staff in response to the growing trend of Disney adults and guerrilla films like Escape from Tomorrow?
Interesting question. It has changed a lot, and it was probably later than you would imagine. A lot of these people started making videos and still didn't up their security. In the film, there's an incident where someone goes to this abandoned island in this lake near Magic Kingdom. Finally, someone gets caught on a camera. That might be the first time in the film that someone actually gets caught on a camera. This happened in 2020. So very recently, they've started to put up some trail cameras on some trails that go in areas at Walt Disney World, and I'm sure at Disneyland as well. The new attractions, I'm sure they all have cameras and sensors and things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Hoot and Chief thing at Horizon, it was amazing to me that there were no cameras at all on that ride, and they got as much access as they did.
Horizons was an outlier in that, yeah, because Haunted Mansion and other attractions have had CCTV cameras and pressure mats and other security measures since the who knows when, 70s, 80s.
Yeah. Crazy. Caveat ties. Anyone present to be a maintenance man and sneak around? Okay.
You could do that if you wanted to, yeah.
Dr. Fauci, for 5. I've always hated Disney since I was a child. 100 years of propaganda and child psychological manipulation. It's a sinister company, always has been. Yes. Controversial.
Okay. Maybe you should watch the film then.
Yeah.
Watch the film is I think really like I love the best parts of Disney, and the film does a great job of showing that kind of passion. And it's really bold. I mean, I was worried for people's safety during some of the footage in your movie. Yeah. I'm being serious. Climbing up roller coasters, getting off rides, when you're not supposed to, was scary stuff. Some of it.
Yeah. It's even scary if you've worked at some of these attractions and you know the extent of the risk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole, I don't want to get morbid, but you can look it up of people who have died at Disneyland. That's a completely separate topic altogether. Yeah.
Okay, ADLs, how rampant has theft been within the ranks of former cast members who worked at the parks on cruise ships back in the day as compared to nowadays?
I don't know if I can really speak exactly to back in the day, but I imagine, and from the few stories I've heard, that it was more lax, that maybe you could take things. There is a story that Patrick told us specifically that back when Wonders of Life closed or a manager left, they were given a sign just as a gift. They later gave it to Patrick and he tried to sell it. He was working at Disney at the time, and they said, you shouldn't have this. This should not be in your possession. He was like, well, it was a gift from a manager of this attraction. Like, no, he never should have been given that as a gift. So things have clearly changed. They were allowed to be, given gifts of pieces of attractions and things. But Patrick took this stuff in 2017 and 2018, I guess, and he was a cast member for some period of that time.
All right.
And Atomic Laurie says Patrick definitely took Buzzy. That's her theory. That's her. Just the theory.
That's her. You said it, not me.
Yeah.
All right. ADLs 24. Is there a treasure trove of discarded Disney artifacts that the company now hoards to keep them out of the hands of resellers and collectors? I think you point that out in the movie.
Yeah. I think you could call that the Disney Archives. I think that's an annoyance of mine as a fan of the history of Disney specifically. And, if Buzzy was taken out by Disney, then yeah, he was boxed up and sent to the archives, and we'll probably never see him again, along with a bunch of other stuff. Sometimes that stuff will come out. They'll do it for their D23, their biannual convention. They have other small events that they do with their D23 fan club. They'll occasionally pull out some props, but yeah, for the most part, that does exist here in California.
I was really surprised at the value of some of these items that are, I mean, going for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that was shocking to us as well.
I was gonna say 2 years ago at D23, they had Walt's jet, and I assume that they had taken the one you had shown and refurbished it, but it was there at D23.
So did you see that in person?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got pictures with it and everything.
So funny. So we've been working on this film for 4 years. So that happened. I think we had already had a finished cut at that point, and I was like freaking out when they announced that, because there's a scene in the film with the plane, with Matt Sansois. That's, to me, that's like an artifact in a Stolen Kingdom sense, But yeah, some of the stuff is incredible. The night we met Patrick again after that initial meeting in 2018, all the crimes had happened. We hadn't spoke to him, and then we asked him to do the interview, and we met him up the night before the scene in the film where he's sitting in the Snow White ride vehicle. He buys it and they push it out into the parking lot. So it was the night before that. We're leaving after getting some drinks, and he goes, "Hey, come into my car really quick." And he pulls out this envelope, and I open it up, and there's a check in it for $48,000. And he had told us that we were going to the antique mall. We were all ready to go, and he's like, "This is for the Snow White ride vehicle."
Oh my God.
I've never held a check for that much money.
And I gotta ask a final question. You're all twisted up, tuned in late, so gotta ask, where can we see the film? I assume you're getting distribution right now. How it will be released? You mentioned a physical release. Please do one. We like our Blu-rays. It's not guaranteed. If we buy a movie, on VOD, we'll have it forever. What's the release plan? And is it possible for people to see it now on the Slamdance app? How can people see it?
Yeah, right now on the Slamdance channel, you can check it out. I think that just started yesterday. It'll run until March 7th. You'll be able to watch the films. A lot of other great films. It's awesome that you guys have been covering those. Slamdance has been incredible for the past 10 days I've been here, seeing as many films as possible. So watch other films besides Stolen Kingdom. Lots of great ones on there. And then after that, we're working on distribution right now. And of course, I want to build in that there will be a physical release as part of that. And if anything, I will try and do my VHS release, which is my dream. Because I collect VHS tapes.
Okay. If it's in a VHS release for this movie, can you please put it in a clamshell? Like the old Disney treasures? It can't be a sleeve. It's got to be clamshell that makes that noise when kids open it up. I mean, those sell now. Those are collectible now. It's insane.
Yeah. I agree. That is a good idea. Clamshell as opposed to slipcover for sure.
You gotta go clamshell. Even the style with like the white VHS, make it all magical. Oh my God, Josh.
Yeah, that won't raise the cost at all.
Hey, but it's a limited run. Do like 500. Raise money for your next movie. Anyways, I gotta say, Josh, thank you so much for taking the time. Congrats on the movie. Great review on Film Threat and here on our channel. And really encourage our audience, who I know loves pop culture, to check out the film either on the app or eventually when it comes out. I'm sure it'll get a release somehow. Someone will step up and distribute or do it yourself. You can do it.
That's always an option.
You can self-release. This is commercial enough to make it. So just congrats from all of us. We were all excited when we heard about this film. So we appreciate
Thank you so much.
Yeah, cool. And where can people go to get more info? Is there a website? Where can people go?
Yeah, stolenkingdomfilm.com is a great place. And then I think for more frequent updates, you can follow our Instagram at Stolen Kingdom Film. I'll post any minute-to-minute updates there. Future screenings. We'll do some more film festivals, hopefully. And maybe we'll have some incredible news about distribution in the future. Yeah.
Please. Okay, I'm bringing up this. Oh, here it is. I found the website. I have to share this with everybody because I want them to see. Here's the official site, stolenkingdomfilm.com. Official site, press, cast and crew. You can contact you from this. So This is awesome. Congrats on your festival run, and can't wait to see it commercially released. So, and the clamshell VHS, I'm telling you, that's a home run. Our chat is loving it. Our chat is loving it. So great. Josh, please come back sometime and talk to us with your next project. I'd love to see what else you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic doc. So congrats. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh.